Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for this really special session on upcoming trends in the F&B space. My name is Ranjana, and I'm the content manager at Gourmet Pro. Of course. Gourmet Pro is a global collective of leading food and drink professionals who can support your end-to-end growth initiatives. Our collective comprises over 150 local experts across more than 30 countries. And we have supported some of the leading companies and organizations across the world. Many of you may also be familiar with Market Shake by Gourmet Pro, which is a leading innovation and F&B trends newsletter with a readership of over 4,000. We cover market trends, consumer intelligence, competitive landscape, and insider knowledge shared by experts from the food and drink industry. So today's presentation is by Christine Couvelier, the president of Culinary Concierge and a global culinary trendologist. She's based in Vancouver, where it's ridiculously early in the morning. So we're very grateful to have Christine here and that she's been so accommodating. After the presentation, we'll have about 15 minutes for questions. So please feel free to add in your questions into the chat box. If for some reason we're unable to get to all of them, we'll definitely respond to you after the webinar. So without further ado, we're gonna go to Christine.
Thank you so much. And good morning or good afternoon or good evening, depending on what part of the world you're in. Today, we're going to look at and share my Trend Watch report because it's all about tasting what's possible. Next slide, please. Today, we're going to sizzle, drizzle, dress, and dip. I am passionate about food. I am a culinary executive, an executive chef for over 40 years, and a leading global culinary trendologist. So what does that mean? That means I look to the future of food. I am very externally focused. I thought I'd tell you a little bit about my culinary journey so you'll understand why I am so passionate about food. I have worked in a restaurant, I've owned a catering company, but then I moved into the world of product development. I'm the past executive chef of President's Choice brand products, the world's leading private label product developer, the director of culinary beverage and executive chef for Cara operations across Canada. I was the chair of the chef school of George Brown College in Canada, Canada's largest culinary school.
250 grams.
Working with Unilever globally, I did innovation for Hellmann's, Bertolli, Knorr, and Lipton. I then became the first director of culinary strategy for Maple Leaf Foods in Canada and designed and led the team that built the Think Food Center, this wonderful destination where everybody speaks about food. I've had a company called Culinary Concierge for the past 17 years. I help clients launch on trend, on time, great tasting food products and menu items. It can be for foodpreneurs and existing and successful global food companies. I am the past president of Trendy, where we were all about rescuing otherwise wasted fruits and vegetables. On the side of my desk, I'm the national chair of the board of directors for Taste Canada, Canada's Cookbook of the Year Awards, and I'm a board advisor for Food Day Canada. I am proud to always mentor and guide and inspire the next generation of culinary professionals and culinary faculty. Currently working doing strategic culinary initiatives and acting in the role of a chair for LaSalle College, a culinary school in Vancouver. And I am very proud to be one of the consultants at Gourmet Pro. Today we're going to talk about innovation. And if we ask what innovation's definition is, well, it's a new idea, method, or device, and it's the introduction of something new. So we know that every innovation tells a story. And today's presentation is all about inspiration. Today we're starting with Good food, good mood. This is an amazing trend that we're watching. It's based around the fact that consumers know more about food than they ever have before. 75% of consumers believe and understand that making good food and beverage choices really has a significant impact on their health. I put a picture up there of a company called Nosh. And Nosh is a brand owned by Maria Shriver and her son Patrick Schwarzenegger. They do protein bars formulated with adaptogens and nutrients specifically in their category of brain health. I find it fascinating. They also use wonderful culinary adjectives. So in their lemon white chocolate crunch bar, they call creamy white chocolate chip morsels with fresh Meyer lemons bursting in every bite. That culinary adjective makes you want to try their products. So we also know things like watermelon, spinach, salmon, chocolate, and berries are very important when we're thinking about good food, good mood. I wanted to call out kimchi because kimchi is a fabulous ingredient to use. I know I've been following the success of a company called Talua, and Talua has great kimchi shots, functional shots that promote gut health and skin health. So an orange passion fruit kimchi helps their gut health, and a turmeric ginger kimchi shot helps skin health. They're sold across the United States, so start to watch for some of those products at Whole Foods and natural health food stores. Well, crunch, crunch, crunch. This trend is all about what's possible with a snack. In 2023, the sales of potato chips rose 52%. The sales of popcorn rose 46%, both savory and sweet popcorn. And the sales of chocolate chip cookies rose 54%. So when sales go up in these categories, so does innovation. On the top left of the slide, there is a product called Henrietta Said, and it's put out by a company called Truly Good Foods. At the Sweet and Snacks Expo in 2023, they won the award for the most innovative snack product. They're jumbo peanuts, but they're flavored jumbo peanuts that taste and are inspired by chicken wings. So flavors like buffalo or Nashville hot or chicken with pickles. You know, my 2022 Trend Watch report and 2023 Trend Watch report watched the growth of Nashville hot chicken. I find it fascinating that now it's showing up in a peanut flavor. We know that 33% of consumers say that their last snack replaced a meal. That's fascinating. And 74% of consumers had a snack that replaced a meal at least once a week. So this category is growing because of the demand from consumers. On the bottom left of the slide, I put a bag up there from Tia Lupita. Tia Lupita has incredible crunchy cactus-based tortilla chips, and their crunch is what they're famous for. They also produce a fabulous salsa. On the right, churro puffs. Say that again, churro puffs. They're fantastic. And they're from a company called You Need This. They're cinnamon flavored and plant-based. Well, amore is the love of all things Italian. So Sundays in many people's homes around the world are for bolognese, a Sunday afternoon of Nonna-style cooking. We thank Marcella Hazan, a very famous Italian chef who is quite famous for her bolognese. There's a box in the middle of your screen, and it's from a company called Sfoglini. And Sfoglini really changed the dry pasta market when they started to innovate new shapes of pasta. So not just the penne and the rigatoni and the spaghetti shapes that we're all familiar with. Their most popular to date is one called cascatelli. And cascatelli is the shape of waterfall. In Italian, that's how you say waterfall. So for instance, a bolognese clings to the cascatelli when you pair that sauce and that pasta. The picture of the little green, it looks like snap peas in the middle of your screen, is a very innovative chef who has made ravioli look like snap peas. I think that's very innovative. Because we're talking about all things Italian, mortadella is having a moment. It is top of menus in restaurants around the world. In British Columbia, Canada, there's a little deli called Gastronomia Italian, and it's in Vancouver for any of you coming to this side of the world. And they have a flatbread that's warm. And they put a really paper-thin piece of mortadella on top. And then they drizzle it with a pistachio crema. Oh, it is heaven. At Birdie G's in Santa Monica with Chef Jeremy Fox, who also owns Rustic Canyon, it is all about stopping into his bar and having a little bite with your cocktail, with a guinea hen mortadella, pickled Hungarian wax peppers, a beautiful Lacino olive oil, tomato mayo, and then he's used tomato water, where you drain the tomato, to make his focaccia. It is quite spectacular. There's a very good reason that he is on the short list for the James Beard Awards for 2024 for Restaurant and Chef semifinalist. It's a big deal because pickles are the ingredient of the year. Well, 73% of consumers say they love pickles, but it's the innovation in this category that has me very excited. So on the left of your screen, Hidden Valley Ranch has come out with Pickle Ranch. And Heinz, not to be disappointed in the innovation category, has made pickle ketchup. It is not green, it is still red. The jar at the bottom of your screen comes from Pike Place Market in Seattle, Washington, and it is a dill pickle flavored salt. It is so great to have in your kitchen. So if I'm taking little warm potatoes out of the oven, I'll sprinkle them with it. It is really a taste of the Pacific Northwest. Now there's a picture there of a pizza. And Nestle in their DiGiorno brand pizza has launched a pizza that is half pineapple and half pizza. Half pineapple and half pickle. For those of us that want both, we'd have to have a little bit and a little bit. I think it's a great combination. From Clausen, there comes their pickle-flavored wine spritzer. Now, this was something they put out in 2022 as an April Fool's joke, but due to consumer demand, they realized they had to keep it on the menu of their options. So start to watch as you read new menus, as you look at industry newsletters, as you go to trade shows and start to see new products. Start to watch. You'll think, Christine talked about pickles. They are showing up everywhere. Pickle cupcakes with pickle juice in the cake and in the icing. Fantastic. Bloody Caesar pickle shots where they hollow out a pickle and they put the drink in there and you drink it and then eat that. Dill pickle cream cheese on a bagel is a great thing. It is Caesar everything. So move over romaine. Many of us know that Caesar dressing can be put on a salad with kale, like on the left of your screen. The other night, I took asparagus and drizzled it with Caesar dressing and put it on my stone on the barbecue. That's the picture on the top right. Actually, Caesar dressing with a little dill pickle salt that we just talked about is quite spectacular. Kettle brand potato chips, not to be forgotten, have launched a classic Caesar, a take on the Canadian love of a Caesar cocktail instead of a Bloody Mary, and put it into their flavor. So watch for Caesar and think about in your innovation product development pipelines where Caesar flavor can fit in. You know, a lot of people say to me, where would I go for dinner if I was traveling to certain cities? So this trend is all about what is worth getting on an airplane to travel for dinner. And the answer this year is the destination of the year is Philadelphia. Over the top, chefs are going to Philadelphia to experience the cuisine. I would first guide you to Her Place Supper Club by Chef Amanda Schulman. Amanda has this beautiful brownstone building, and when you enter, it's like going into her living room and her dining room where she's welcoming you for dinner. It's a very welcoming, hospitable place. Her menu is French and Italian and a little bit of Jewish sprinkled on top, as she says. Then there's the Heavy Metal Sausage Company. It is a butcher shop by day and a trattoria by night. I think that's incredible. They call themselves an intimate Italian-inspired restaurant in a specialty meat shop. The aromas are incredible and they draw you in and the flavors are great. While you're in Philadelphia, I encourage you to go to Middle Child, really a fantastic deli sandwich store. But you know, when I think about Philadelphia, there are chefs that have put Philadelphia on the map for years. And one of those chefs is Michael Solomov, and he has a restaurant called Zahav's. And when you go to Zahav, you always order his hummus. It's cloud-like, and it's fluffy, and it's airy, and it's the gold standard of hummus. Recently, he has launched his hummus. I put a picture of it in the bottom right of your screen there. And he has launched his hummus at Whole Foods in Philadelphia, in New York, and in Boston. It's incredible that we can take it home and have that. Pucker Up Buttercup. It's all about the sour power. So flavors and ingredients like lemon, balsamic, anything pickled, anything fermented. Tamarind is certainly the flavor of the year. And tamarind is a cross between tangy and sweet at the same time, used often in barbecue sauce product development. So many people have had tamarind and not know it. I had recently a tamarind lemon pepper lemonade. It was incredible. It was so refreshing. But we can get that sour power in ingredients like yuzu and sumac, sour orange, coconut vinegar. This category I've titled Putting the Plant Back in Plant-Based. It's not a trend and it's not a fad. It is a way of the future in our food industry. There is no compromise on taste in this category. I'm sure we can all think back to plant-based, vegetarian decades ago products that we've tasted. Remember when vegetarian burgers really first came out and we could see the little corn pieces and carrot pieces and pea pieces in our vegetarian burgers? They didn't taste so great. In many cases, the box tasted better than the burger. But really, the innovators and product developers have come a long way. And right now, in the plant-based space, there are things to celebrate. On the left of your screen is a bag from Daring. Daring Foods produces plant-based chicken. I first ran into them a few years ago at Expo West in Anaheim, California, where, you know, we have a great selection at that show of innovative and up-and-coming plant-based products. But Daring Chicken stood out for me. And continually when I see them at shows, they are the innovators. This is a picture of their lemon and herb plant-based chicken. Really watch for it and try it. Right now it is coast to coast at Whole Foods in the United States and just come into Canada. The flavor and the aroma and the texture is chicken. It's wonderful. The green bag at the bottom of your screen is from IKEA. And IKEA has meatballs. And they have vegetarian meatballs. But recently they launched plant balls. Please run out and get them, and please try them. IKEA by 2025 has stated that 50% of the food sold at IKEA's globally will be plant-based. So think about that statement. Think about how that moves the needle in the category of plant-based. IKEA sells 1 billion meatballs a year. And in 2023, 17% of that 1 billion meatballs a day were plant balls, and they had just launched them. They are really, truly something, and they are moving it forward in plant-based. I also put a picture up there of Kraft Mac and Cheese, who recently launched their plant-based, both in the original and white chocolate flavor. It's made with fava bean protein and coconut oil powder. So when you think about the memories so many people around the world have of Kraft Mac and Cheese, you know, they sell 1 million boxes a day globally of regular Kraft Mac and Cheese. When thinking of innovating for the plant-based, they had to remember the memories. They had to make sure it was still creamy and comforting. I've done comparison tastings. It's not possible to tell the difference. They're going to move the needle in the plant-based space. I wanted to point out some smaller innovative companies who are also striving for new flavors and new innovations in the plant-based space. On the left is Frankie and Joe's. Frankie and Joe's is based in Seattle. They are a plant-based ice cream company. They are a wow. They're making plant-based ice cream from fruits and nuts and vegetables. They have so many great flavors. But California Cabin stands out for me. It's made with coconut milk, gluten-free oats, smoked vanilla beans, and then they crumble in shortbread cookie pieces, a little black pepper, and cardamom. It's incredibly aromatic. Salty caramel ash is incredibly caramely and a burnt sugar flavor, so you can smell that. They put coconut milk, and then they stir in a little bit of activated charcoal, so it's slightly gray, slightly black. Very refreshing. On the right is a box called Mouth Off. And Mouth Off is a vegan cereal new from Kellogg's that they're just starting to test. It's plant-based, 0 grams of sugar, and 22 grams of protein in a portion. One of my absolutely new favorite new launch products that I have been tasting is called Nature's Fund. It's the world's first fungi-based yogurt, dairy-free, nut-free, soy-free. They have strawberry, peach, and vanilla, 8 grams of protein, 4 grams of gut-friendly health. It is very creamy and very rich and very decadent. Currently launched coast to coast in the United States in Whole Foods and expanding fast. Well, the cuisine of the year is Korean, and it's more than just kimchi. Gochujang, which is the Korean chili paste, between 2022 and 2023 rose 66% in sales. So that's great. People have started to embrace it. They know it's spicy and slightly sweet. So what's possible with gochujang? I get that question often. The answer to that is everything's possible. Think about using it for a marinade or a dressing or a dip, or rub it on chicken before you roast it in the oven. I mix it half and half with mayonnaise as a spectacular potato salad dressing. I put up a picture of tubiku, and that is the Korean spicy stir-fried cakes. Many people know that from renowned chef David Chang, who made that famous in his Momofuku restaurants. This bag happens to come from Trader Joe's. But when we think of all the brands that sell tteokbokki, in 2023, grocery sales of this frozen product rose 450%. 450%, which really means consumers are embracing this. They're embracing Korean flavors. So think about how that can fit into your product development pipeline. If you're traveling in San Francisco, stop by San Juan for a Korean charcoal barbecue restaurant experience. Well, the dessert of the year is marvelous meringue. It's certainly not your grandmother's meringue anymore. In St. Helena, California, at Press Restaurant, Chef Philippe Tessier serves a sweet corn pavlova with chamomile ice and blueberries. It's an elegant dessert. At Dam in New York City, the passion fruit and Meyer lemon pavlova is drizzled with olive oil. It's incredibly decadent. Cheers to the drink of the year, which is a Caprese martini. You heard me right. It's made with olive oil, washed vodka, clarified heirloom tomato, and basil and white balsamic. So to make an olive oil washed vodka, you take equal parts olive oil and vodka. You put them in your blender, blend it up, pour it in ice cube trays, pop it in your freezer. As it's frozen, you would scoop off the olive oil solids, leaving the vodka flavored with the olive oil, and use that to make a drink. Start to watch that with creative craft bartenders. Now, not to be left out, in the non-alcoholic cheers drink of the year is the phony Negroni. Tastes like the real thing without the booze added. I think they also should get the award for one of the best names, calling themselves the phony Negroni. This category is very near to my heart, and it should be near to everyone's heart in the industry. Again, this is one of those not a trend and not a fad. This is all about food waste and how the only way is up with Upcycled. Food waste is neither a trend nor a fad. It is not something that we all should be proud of, but it is something we have to work together to come up with a solution. We grow enough food in the world. and we cannot feed everyone in the world. As a chef, this hurts my heart that we can't feed everyone. We know that the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 2 is all about creating a world free of hunger. We have the food. We just haven't managed to figure out how to do that. So I sit in Canada, and Canada has 58% of the food that we grow go to landfill. It happens to be the worst stat in the world. In the United States, it's 38% of the food grown goes to landfill. The UN released a report last week saying that we have 1 billion meals wasted every day globally, which is a shock and a shame at the same time. I have become a voice for food waste and sustainability and circular economy. But everyone has to work together to really think about this. You know, here's one more stat, and it's not to scare you. It's just to talk about the what's possible around this. 2.5 billion tons of food is wasted globally every year, yet 800 million people are food insecure. So it is my challenge to you. But on the other side of this challenge are incredible, innovative foodpreneur companies who are coming up with solutions, and I want to be able to call out a few of them because of the work that they're doing. So pulp chips. Pulp chips are slightly spicy and deliciously tangy. I love how they talk about their product. Again, I first saw this company a few years ago at Expo West in Anaheim. And since 2019, they have saved 79,000 kilos of rescued vegetable and fruit pulp. So they contact cold pressed juice companies, and they buy the pumice, the pressed, and the otherwise wasted, and they turn it into their vegetable chips. What a great use of that. Then there's Spare Tonic, and Spare Tonic has, in each can, rescued 92% of the can of upcycled whey. They partner with local yogurt makers in upstate New York in the United States, where 70% of artisanal yogurt in North America is produced. So they've gone to the source and they've rescued that otherwise wasted ingredient. Salt and Straw is an ice cream chain. I call them a chain. They call themselves a chainlet because they say they're still small and they're spreading across the United States. They started in Seattle. They have an upcycled food series. They've rescued 38,000 pounds of rescued fruits and vegetables using ice cream to rescue those ingredients. So the picture in the cone there is their lemon curd and whey. And yes, they also contact yogurt makers. They have a fabulous flavor when I was there a few weeks ago, day-old bread pudding ice cream. So they work with bakeries who have bread left over. They rescue that bread. They cube it up. They make a bread pudding ice cream, and then they pour chocolate ganache on it. It's spectacular. I was at a bakery the other day in Vancouver, and they're selling croissant croutons, leftover croutons, chopped up, slightly toasted, and it becomes amazing crouton. So my challenge to you is that we really need to work together. We have to work together to come up with a solution and innovate together. Does it involve technology for being able to have better forecasting in supply and demand? Does it have to do with technology where we rescue the fruits and vegetables through freeze drying, or to be able to take that product and turn it into an ingredient we can use in our product development? Food has the power to change our lives. Food has the power to change the planet. And with conversation and collaboration, we can make significant changes together. So let's talk about this. I thought I would share with you a peek into my culinary crystal ball, and as I'm preparing my Trend Watch reports, how I do that, where I look, and some of the things I'm monitoring. I've produced a Trend Watch report for over 35 years, and it makes me happy. I sit in my office and I have, the charts on the walls in front of me, and many are in pencil because things change quite often in a Trend Watch report. One of the questions I get every day as I present this at conferences and conventions and AGMs, I start ideation sessions for companies with the Trend Watch report. I can take a global look, I can take a regional look, I can take a category look, I can take a country look, and I can make up trend watch reports for you and your teams. But people say to me, where do you look for trends? Well, I'm externally focused. I am not sitting in my office and the book doesn't arrive that says, here's the top 10 trends. I am out there. I'm at conferences and conventions. I'm giving keynotes. I'm cooking and talking and tasting with chefs around the world. You know, a lot of newspapers around the world have Wednesday food sections where they talk about what's going on. I like to know that. That's how I spot some trends. So I read newspapers online on Wednesdays and look at what their food sections are talking about. I spend a lot of time in gourmet and grocery stores. I do category and competitive analysis, looking at flavors and packaging and fonts. I do tastings. I look at culinary adjectives. Visiting global food markets is a spectacular way to start to look for some trends. I am passionate about food, but food with a story tastes better and is more memorable. As I'm developing my Trend Watch reports, I look at emerging, developing, and existing trends. So in the emerging column, it's all about inception and innovation. We're testing. We're experimenting. Chefs might put a special on a menu. We might see something in a limited release. We want to find out if it speaks to our target consumers. Foodpreneurs play a big role in emerging trends. In the developing column, well, it's trend adoption. Things might be cool. They might be trendy. We could see products in gourmet stores rather than grocery stores. We'll start to read about it in articles. But we never know in that developing column if it's going to stick, so to speak, or not. But it's also the sweet spot in innovation. If it matches your target consumer, if you are looking ahead 1 to 4 years, which is what this report does, then it can really help you plan that. In the existing column, well, basically products are everywhere, or we're used to them, or consumers are used to them. So think years ago about balsamic vinegar. Outside of Italy, we would look for balsamic vinegar in a very gourmet store in little bottles. They were somewhat expensive sometimes. Now, balsamic vinegar is a flavor and an ingredient that we all know. So that's sort of how I break down those categories. I also break down the Trend Watch report into specialty ingredients. Now, we're not going to touch every single one of these today, but I want to point out a few. So in the emerging category, there is sweet garlic, which is a cross between leeks and garlic. Looks like a scallion, green at the top, white at the bottom, but you eat the whole thing. Certainly, one of the chefs that has been talking about it is an amazing chef, Dan Barber, from Blue Hill at Stone Barns in Poncantico Hills outside of New York City. He has a company called Row 7 Seeds because he cares so much about farm to table and he cares so much about what we are feeding people. He came up to work with farmers to really create and bring back seeds that we haven't had in a long time. So he's done it for tomatoes and squash. And this year it's all about sweet garlic. Now, pop rocks are on this list. And I was talking to someone the other day about it and they couldn't believe it. So it's a candy that many of us have from a memory of growing up that literally pop in your mouth. Roasted carrots with yogurt that has pop rocks blended in. I had a crispy duck the other day served to me and they put pop rocks under the skin. Well, I'm not saying that this is for everybody, but it's something incredibly interesting to watch because food memories play a lot in trends. In the developing column, I have cottage cheese on the top of the list. In the last 2 years, the sales of cottage cheese has risen 300%. Think about that for innovation. Think about that because consumers are asking for it. Again, we talked earlier about consumers understanding food more than ever before. It's a healthy food option. So think about how you can innovate with cottage cheese and flavors. I have pink celery in that developing column. Pink celery is smaller than regular celery. It's pale pink and it's great to roast. In the existing column, well, I have pink pineapple on that list too, and that's a picture on the bottom right of pink pineapple. It's still in. It was in a couple of years ago, and it's not going away. I find it more pineapple-y than a pineapple. It's fantastic to slice thin and put on a grill. Think about a juice blend that has pink pineapple in it. Next up is cuisines and dishes. So in the emerging column, hot honey breakfast sandwiches. That's spiced honey in there. And that is picking up on a trend that we have seen for the last 3 to 4 years in the gourmet space of innovative companies, honey companies, producing a hot blend, a spicy blend. So now these sandwiches are turning up everywhere. In the developing column, I have ramen on there. Of course, we've all tried ramen, but regional varieties of ramen and regional tastes are starting to show up. So in the southern U.S., ramen with sweet heat chicken. I was just served a ramen carbonara the other day, speaking of amore and the love of all things Italian. In the developing column, there is also cereal. We are getting serious about cereal. In 2023, cereal was a $10 billion ready-to-eat cereal category. The innovations in cereal are extraordinary. So go to your local grocery store. Walk and look at that cereal aisle and check out the packaging. Check out the new flavors. Do tastings. Get a lot of inspiration from the flavors that cereal companies are innovating with. I also have on there Cresta di Gallo. And Cresta di Gallo is a new pasta shape we're starting to watch this year, and it's ruffled like a rooster's crest. In the existing column, well, espresso martini. It is the fastest growing ordered drink at bars in the past 6 months in North America. Will it crash or will it burn? As I think of the emerging, developing, and existing trends that I track, sometimes things go so fast they fly right off, and sometimes they stick, sometimes they come around again. It will be very interesting to watch how espresso martini plays a role next year. And does it play a role next year? I have cauliflower pizza on this existing column. And it started with the success of a company called Caulipower. Gail Becker is the founder and female leader of this company. Very innovative. Again, it's existing. We can find it everywhere, but it's still something to watch for innovation because consumers still love the fact that there are offerings made with cauliflower in the pizza category. Different toppings, different flavors. Cooking methods and equipment. Yes, in the emerging column, you are reading that right. That does say olive oil sommeliers. Absolutely integral in the future of olive oil. They educate, they inspire, they teach. Whether you're a distributor, whether you're an olive oil manufacturer, whether you're a grocery store or a gourmet store owner. These people are so important because they help you learn what's on the olive oil label. They help you understand how to describe that to your customers. Fantastic to know an olive oil sommelier. Yes, I am in Canada. We have 2 olive oil sommeliers in Canada. In the developing column, fermentation isn't going away. It is innovation. When I look for inspiration in the fermentations category, I look to Noma as a leader in the world. What are they doing? What new products are they coming out with and serving on their menus? Bread oven is on this category. It's quite remarkable. After COVID and people were home and so many people were baking breads and sourdoughs, it's not a surprise that Le Creuset cookware came out at Christmas with a bread oven. I got one. I'm sure many of you did too. It's a reminder to look to the housewares category because, for instance, we all were baking bread. They came out with a bread oven. If all of a sudden a lot of fondue sets are being sold, how do your categories match with that? Should you be selling bread cubes? Should you be selling things that can be served with fondues? Start to watch for that. Grocerants are on the developing column. Destinations, restaurants inside grocery stores where people gather to talk about food, where people who are passionate gather to experience food. It has started to spread from not just grocery stores, but to retail stores. Ralph Lauren, for instance, has inside many of his stores, now he has restaurants. In the existing column, I love talking about your phone eats first, because it does. It's an amazing marketing tool for foodpreneurs, for marketers, for chefs, for restaurateurs, gourmet, and grocery store owners. Know who your target consumer is. Watch what they're posting. What are they talking about? When they go out and they take pictures of their food, you know what they're looking for, and you can innovate around that. We started talking today about inspiration. So I think about who inspired this culinary and food world we are in. On the left, those are the hands of Robert Mondavi, so important in the world of wine. On the right, many of you may guess, these are Julia Child's hands. Because of the innovation, because of the inspiration, because of sharing how passionate she was about food. This inspires us and the consumers who love food. I like to leave you with a to-do list. When I think about meals, there are many kinds of meals to be cooked in a lifetime. Meals that nourish, meals that comfort, meals that reunite people together. So first on my to-do list is to gather around the table to eat. And second, because it's what I talk about every day and all day, to not forget that what you're innovating and what we're doing in this industry is all about taste, taste, taste. It's to cook what's new, to eat what's best, and to inspire what's next. Please reach out. I'd love to talk to you about the future of food, work together with you to move your brands and your products forward, and eat great food together. I thank all of you for joining today.
All right. Thank you so much, Christine. That was fascinating. We do have a couple of questions, so we're just going to jump right into that. All right. This is from Dhruv. He says, I noticed mustard seed listed as developing on the previous slide. Any insight into why this spice specifically is developing?
Good question, and I think it's two reasons. Consumers know what the flavor of mustard is, so they're not frightened to try something that has mustard in it. We talked about in the snack category, the crunch, crunch, crunch. There is something tactile about having a mustard seed in your mouth and feeling that crunch. So it is very much in innovation right now. The flavor and the texture is important. Mustard seed can also be mild to hot or spicy. And so you can pinpoint that, knowing your target consumer, to innovate to the flavor and the temperature that matches.
All right, thank you. We have a follow-up question to that from Kira. Secondary to the previous question about mustard seed, do you think broad development with it in CPG will be challenging due to mustard being an allergen?
Great question, Kira. Thank you for that. It can be. And of course, we are always concerned about food health and food safety. But we know that mustard has been a category for a very long time. Knowing that, we really make sure when we're building our manufacturing facilities or looking for co-packers that we are aware of that. And consumers are aware of that too. We know that the labeling requirements in many countries have us to list that it is produced and could be an allergen. As long as we're careful with that, we work with our regulatory affairs departments, it should be fine.
Great. Okay, thank you. Any more questions? We've got another 10 minutes, so feel free to ask. Now's your chance. Okay, while we wait for some more to come in, I actually do have a question. You talked about olive oil. You talked about olive oil sommeliers. You talked about the olive oil, the drink, the Caprese one.
Caprese martini.
Yes, the Caprese martini. It's an interesting ingredient that we've have been seeing moving out of its staples category, because last year Starbucks kind of made it a bit of a mass market product when they added it to their coffee. So how do you see that expanding into more unusual categories? This is a beverage-based space that it's expanded into. So what are the other opportunities for that? Also because it's
Firstly,
such a polarizing flavor.
well, it can be a polarizing flavor, but the other side of it is that consumers are aware of olive oil. Everyone has tasted or had a salad dressing made with olive oil or a marinade that has an olive oil in it. So consumers aren't afraid. They might not have an understanding of why a certain olive oil costs this much and another olive oil costs this much. That comes down to education. So education from the manufacturer, education from the distributor, and education from the retailer or restaurateur to be able to talk to their consumers about what makes a great olive oil and what makes an amazing olive oil and understand the price point differences. I applaud Starbucks for, you're right, putting it in a beverage, putting it out there and having consumers think and try it. But that opens the door, and that's what makes me excited about being in this world of product development and innovation and thinking to the future of food and thinking what's possible, because everything's possible. Yes, the Caprese martini is the drink of the year. Yes, I've tried them a couple of times, and they are incredible. It's an interesting combination between a consumer being able to produce it at home and experiencing it out there. So let's think of other categories or other avenues that olive oil can be put in that way. Olive oil ice cream. It's not unheard of, and it's something that's very, very good. But again, consumers understand olive oil and ice cream, and then they are willing to taste them and try them together. I think one of the future trends we're going to see in olive oil is the call out of the olive oil grove, the year it was picked, the year it was bottled, the understanding of those nuances, and consumers are going to want to learn more about it. I compare it in many ways to the wine industry, because consumers understand more than ever before about reading a wine label, what it means to talk about the vineyard, what it means to talk about the year it was harvested. The same in the olive oil world. It's going to become more informative and more educational for those that want to experience it. Gives an opportunity to innovators.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. All right, we have a question here from Marta. I'm curious about sweet garlic. What is garlic? No, Marta, it's not a mistake. I'm going to let Christine take over.
Thanks, Martha. So sweet garlic is a cross between leek and garlic. So it's a new seed that has been cross-pollinated. It looks like a green onion, so it's long and skinny. It's green at the top, paler at the bottom. You eat the whole thing. It is more mild than a leek and more mild than a garlic, and I love when it's put together. So you can put it on a grill and you can roast it. You can chop it up and put it in a dressing or a marinade or sprinkle it on a salad. It is a seed that is now out there, and people are going to plant it this season and grow it over the summer. Start to watch for it. So in the world of innovation and in the world of entering new opportunities and new ingredients, I think it's great. Certainly in a lot of places you would use green onion or chives, sweet garlic could come into play.
Okay. She also asks if where it's available. Is it only in the US or in Europe as well right now?
Right now, I've only found it in the U.S., but that's an opportunity. That's an opportunity for heirloom farmers and seed manufacturers to be able to, and I'm sure they do, you know, from country to country, we watch what is happening. So to be able to think about it as far as where it could be, start to talk to some farmers markets, and see if they've heard of it. Reach out to Row 7 Seeds in the U.S. They may already be sold out because we have been talking about it for a month or so now, so I know that a lot of people are excited about it. And yes, I have planted it in my garden.
All right. We have another question from Dhruv. I see sweetened condensed milk on the developing list. Is it making a comeback?
It is making a comeback, Drew, and it's one of those food memories that comes around again. We sometimes pay attention to retro desserts, lemon meringue pie, red velvet cake, for instance, that are food memories that come around again. And absolutely, sweetened condensed milk is coming around again. It's been around a long time. Think about the flavor, think about the comfort, think about the aroma, think about how it can be put into both sweet and savory applications.
And if I could just add to that, there's been a lot of action using condensed milk. I think over the last year, particularly on social media, there's been a lot of interest in Brazilian lemonade. I recently saw something called wine, I think it was wine and milk, and it was a combination, it was a blend of wine and condensed milk, again, based off of an old Brazilian drink. And of course, there's Vietnamese coffee, which uses sweet condensed milk anyway. So I think it's one of those, like you said, it is one of those old foods that is kind of making a comeback. Very similar to cottage cheese, which used to be really popular in the West way back when.
Right, and it is again. And so that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons when I do my Trend Watch reports, I do emerging, developing, and existing. Because things don't stay popular forever. They'll drop off and they'll come back. And then we have, as innovators and as inspiring people in this food industry, it's an opportunity to recreate and re-innovate and relaunch with new flavors. I get excited about it because it's a wonderful, wonderful space to be in.
All right. Okay, we have a few more minutes. Are there any more questions? Let me just add, in case you can't think of anything right now, but something does pop up much later, please don't hesitate to write to us. We'll be happy to answer that or get back to you with an answer. So
absolutely, reach out and
yeah.
email me, and I'm happy to start a conversation. As I said, there's a lot of call to actions in this report, and it's the people on this call and the leaders on this call to work together to move some issues forward in the food industry. So I can't wait to talk to you.
All right. If we don't have any questions, I think we'll call it a day then. It's really early for Christine. She might like to have a few moments back to her. So, all right. But Christine mentioned earlier in her presentation that she works with different categories, different sectors, and also customizes these reports, trend reports, based on their requirements. So in case you'd like to work with her, do please reach out to us, and we will be more than happy to put you in touch with Christine.
And I'm happy to be part of the Gourmet Pro family, and what the Gourmet Pro family offers to the industry is wonderful. So let's work together on something.
All right, thank you so much. And it was a fascinating and insightful session. I'm sure all of you are taking away a lot from it. We will be sharing the recording of this in about a week. So for all of you asking, that should be a bit of a relief. And thank you all for your great questions. So have a fantastic rest of the day. Thank you.